In this edition of INN CEO Talks, I'm joined by Jeremy Robinson, the founder and managing director of RareX Limited, and we're talking about rare earth metals. Jeremy, welcome back. Let's start with an explanation of your company and the rare earths you're focused on.
Yeah, look, thanks very much for hosting us again. The company I run and founded is RareX Limited. We're focused on rare earth elements, mainly the magnetic rare earth elements, as everyone is these days. Neodymium and praseodymium are the ones that are used in the high-end magnets for your EVs and wind turbines. So we've got those in abundance in our deposit at Cummins Range in Western Australia here. And we're in the process of making our resource very much larger and pushing it towards development over the next few years.
Why are those rare earths so important in the magnet sector?
Those rare earths are irreplaceable. It's just the chemical properties of the elements. They go into neodymium, iron, boron magnets, which are the highest strength permanent magnets you can make that can be used in cars, in their electric motors, in your Teslas, and all other sort of electric platforms these days. Also in the conversion of wind energy into power as well, so the renewable sector through wind turbines. And also in everyday electronics. We've been using them in mobile phones for 20, 30 years now. They're in smaller amounts, but we're using them in much, much greater amounts in our electric vehicles and wind turbines. So extremely useful for the new economy, for the renewable sector, and going to be an increasing part of our lives as we move through this decade and beyond.
Well, let's talk about your Cummins Range rare earths project. Tell us about it, where it is, what we currently know about it.
Yeah, look, the Cummins Range rare earth project is our flagship project. It's located in the Kimberley region of Western Australia, so in the north of our state of WA. It's a carbonatite project, so it's similar in stature to Lynas' Mount Weld and Mountain Passes. The Mountain Pass deposit owned by MP Materials. It's an intrusive, contains abundant rare earths in the forms of, predominantly in the form of monazite, also some bastnasite as well, which are the two main rare earth minerals you want. So they're in abundance there. We've got a modest resource of about 20 million tonnes at the moment, but with the drilling we've been doing this year, we're going to make that very much larger towards 100 million tonnes and beyond. Also have abundant phosphate in our deposit, which is useful in the predominantly in the fertiliser industry, but also in the LFP batteries as well, lithium iron phosphate batteries, which we believe, and so do many others, will become the dominant chemistry in the battery sector as well. So a very large, important deposit in the state of Western Australia, very mining-friendly state, and we're most of the way through feasibility at the moment and look forward to bringing it into production within the next few years.
So is that your plan, to bring it into production rather than vend in with a major?
We'll take any offers that come our way and assess them on our merit, but at this point in time we're just fully focused on proving up our project in terms of the size and quality, putting it through its permitting steps, which we're also doing through mining lease applications, and taking it as far as we can, prepared to take it into production if that's the way we go, but we'll also look at any other offers that come our way. But yeah, very focused on bringing it forward into production within the next few years.
So you're well funded then to be able to see your way through on that path, are you?
We're well funded for what we need to do this year and into next year. We've got $5 to $6 million in the bank at the moment. We're about to stop drilling, so no serious cash outlays for the next 3 to 4 or 5 months. We're in the process of getting ready an application to our government for the Critical Minerals Accelerator Initiative, which will fund most of our study and pre-feasibility work. So we'll take a lot of that off the shareholders and our balance sheet, and will be provided by grant funding from the government. So well enough funded for what we need to do for this year. Once we move into production within the next 2 to 3 years and need to commercialise the project, we'll be looking for additional funding then, both through government sources, traditional equity markets, and also debt funding as well. But where we are at this point in our evolution, we're well funded for what we need to do.
Tell me a little bit more about Western Australia as a mining jurisdiction, as a place to be doing business, but also its unique position with regards to rare earth metals.
Yeah, look, I think Western Australia is well known for its mining culture, its mining business. It's very much what has built the state into, the great state that I believe it is, and the rest of us do. They've been largely off the back of iron ore and gold, base metals to a lesser extent, but now you're seeing the critical minerals sector really come into its own as a major contributor to the state and its economy. That's mainly been driven by the lithium sector, but rare earth is not far behind that. Don't forget about Lynas and Mount Weld being the largest producer of rare earths outside of China over the last 5 to 10 years, and a big contributor to royalties and employment. And also the great amount of knowledge that the sector has gained in Western Australia. Western Australia is becoming a centre of excellence for processing critical minerals, lithium and rare earths. We've got what Lynas have done, Iluka building their facility, Hastings building their facilities, and potentially us in the next few years building our facilities as well. So becoming a bit of a centre of excellence in rare earths, which, these things take a lot of know-how, and our state has it, and we're very, very pleased to be developing a project here.
What about infrastructure in the area? Do you have access to all you need, including hydropower?
Yeah, look, Kimberley is unique in Australia. Well, definitely within Western Australia. There is hydropower on the east coast of Australia through the Snowy Mountain scheme, but in Western Australia there's only one place you can access hydropower, and that's in the Kimberley. And that's off the Lake Argyle hydro scheme. A lot of power has been used by the diamond mine, Lake Argyle diamond mine, but that's closed down in the last few years as Rio's chose to close that facility down. So there's abundant hydropower. It's reticulated all the way out to Wyndham, where we propose to put our rare earth refining facility. And that not only gives us cheap, consistent power, but it gives us a green edge as well, and being one of the most renewable sources of renewable, reliable sources of power in the world. So very happy to be able to access that power there, and gives our project a unique edge.
You talked about Western Australia being a centre of excellence, and when you start to build out this project, what kind of employment do you anticipate that you will be generating?
Yeah, look, in the construction phase, our project was broken down into two parts. There's the mine site with the beneficiation facility, and then there's the refining facility where we take that beneficiated product and turn it into a marketable rare earth carbonate product. Both facilities, about $200 million each, hundreds of people in the construction phase. But once we've bedded down and we're in the operational phase, you're probably 80 to 100 people at each one of those sites on a fly-in, fly-out roster, and also local employment as well where we can on a more stable roster as well. So, yeah, look, hundreds of 300 to 400 people in the construction phase, and probably 100 to 150 in the ongoing operations phase. So, a very strong contributor to our local communities. We work with the Indigenous groups and all our local stakeholders to try and provide employment where we can to those local groups.
What's it going to cost you as far as investment is concerned in this mine, and what do you anticipate the mine life will be?
Yeah, at the moment we've got a published capital number of $430 million, broken down about $200 million at the mine site with getting the mine and beneficiation plant going, and about $230 with the refining facility in Wyndham. We think that's a relatively modest amount of capital for a facility like this to produce a high value product, rare earth carbonate. Look, in terms of funding that, we're probably talking about there are very much pools of funding from the government, the Critical Minerals Facilitation Office, which has recently funded Iluka for $1.3 billion, so off Iluka's balance sheet and onto the Government of Australia's balance sheet. Also with that, we've got the Northern Australian Infrastructure Fund. We're very much in that catchment, being part north of the Tropic of Capricorn. We're in the region that we qualify for that funding as well. So there will be some requirement on our balance sheet, but we'll take as much off as we can in terms of putting it into these these pools of funding that have been provided by our government to help us develop these critical minerals projects in Australia.
So what do you anticipate the mine life to be going forward?
Yes, look, sorry, I forgot to answer that. The mine life at the moment in our scoping study is 13 years. Expect that to go to 20 or 30 years with the current drilling that's going on. This will be a long life project, so, and you want these to be long life projects. Once you set up the infrastructure and the refining capacity, we'll be there for a very long time. So, 20, 30 years, I think, is where we'll see this project land in the medium term.
For a lot of investors, they don't really pay close attention to rare earth markets. What have those markets looked like in the last 12 months as far as valuation?
In terms of the underlying products we produce, being neodymium, praseodymium, as part of the rare earth suite of elements that we will produce, markets have been quite strong. When I started in rare earths, not too long ago now, 4 years, we were looking at $30, $40 a kilo for NdPr, neodymium, praseodymium. I think in the last 12 months, we've seen it top out at $175 a kilo. Currently, it's moved back to about $100 a kilo, but we've used 110 in our scoping study, so we're pretty much on the money with where prices are. And these prices are driven by, traditional supply-demand dynamics. Supply is very hard to bring on quickly. Demand is growing exponentially. So when those two meet, you're going to see very strong prices. We're happy with where they are. You might wake up one day next year and see the price over $200 a kilo. It wouldn't surprise me. You've seen what's happened in the lithium market with spodumene going through thousands of dollars a tonne. And that's off a long-term price of $300 to $400 a tonne. So we expect rare earths, supply-demand dynamic to play out the way lithium one has. It's the same thematic. We're probably a year or two behind that. So it's something we're very confident we will have the prices to develop our project in the coming years.
So when we take a look at the governments of the United States, Australia, Canada, and many European countries, they are wanting to be able to secure supply of rare earth metals. How important is it that you be that Australian supplier to be able to reach into those markets globally?
Yeah, look, rare earths is a relatively unique case. I mean, all critical minerals have had relatively concentrated supply chains in terms of flowing through the Chinese supply chains and putting our industries at risk. Rare earths is, right at the pointy end of that, being, 80% plus of rare earths have come from China or been processed at some point through China. We've seen impetus from our governments to move outside these supply chains and develop our own more local supply chains. You've seen things like the Inflation Reduction Act in the US, which is, basically said we need product for our EVs and our renewable path that we're on, and it needs to be sourced from, ex-China supply chains from governments and countries that share the same views, and Australia is very much one of those. We will be able to access funding from the US, from the DOE, from the DOD. We are viewed as a friendly country, so we will be able to access those pools of money when we're away. Also, our governments, as I mentioned earlier, have been doing the right things with the establishment of the Critical Minerals Facilitation Office and also pools of monies like NAIF, the Melbourne Australian Infrastructure Fund. Europeans are also doing things as well, but this is all governments, all Western governments are providing incentive for us to develop our projects and develop local supply chains. So we think it's a time for these industries and these businesses and these projects to be developed. So we're happy to be there.
For investors who are watching right now, they're going to be saying, okay, you're in a specialized place in the rare earth metals market. You've got great mining jurisdiction and a favorable government interest in what you're doing. From an investor's point of view, they're going to be looking at you right now saying, okay, is this the moment that I should be investing, and if so, why?
Yeah, look, the reason that this is a very good time to have a look at us is, we've been drilling all year and we are in the process of recalculating our resources. And apart from all the thematic I just explained to you around rare earths, we're in the process of making this a very large project. We've been drilling for 2 years. Our last update to the market in the resource sense was 2021. We will have a resource update coming out in January, February. And that's on the back of 2 years of consistent drilling into the primary. And you'll see us become in the top 3 rare earth projects in terms of size in Australia. And so we'll really cement ourselves as a large rare earth project, potential supplier to the world. And that's the most exciting thing you'll see in the short term. We'll look to attract industry players into our project in terms of MOUs and whatnot. But it's all about resource growth, showing the economics of our project. We think the timing is right for these metals and our project. So yeah, I would encourage everyone to quickly have a look at our company, our project. Valuations are a little bit down at the moment, as all the market is. But once we put out this resource next year, let's hope that the share price appreciates from there.
Very interesting time to be looking at RareX and to stay focused on it into the future. Thank you very much for your time today, Jeremy.
Thank you very much. Always a pleasure to update you on our project and our company. Thank you.